Hello team, my name is Talaman, and now while this gorgeous music is rolling in the background, I'm going to introduce you to the Dragon's Last Flight. It's a game off of itch.io. About all I know of it is that I am a character sent to try and, I guess, take out the last surviving dragon, or what could be surmised as last dragon, who have been slowly dying away from the land. It is a silver-haired woman, and I guess there's multiple choices, multiple ends. I'm going to play it once through, and then I will leave the link down in the description below so that you guys can go play it for yourself. But I'm very excited to play a game like this because I haven't had the opportunity to, dialogue and things like that in quite a while. I have followed a trail of feathers and scales to an impossible source. Okay, so I left-clicked to just advance it. When I was told what I would find out here in the woods, I admit I did not fully believe it. And when I began to spot the old signs I remembered well, even after so many years, I still doubted. I have followed a trail of feathers and scales to an impossible source. Oh, okay. Yet I still doubted. Okay. Oh, I don't know what... I clicked on like a back button somehow, accidentally. Yet here's the proof that the woman who hired me spoke truly. That dragons really do still exist. It has been nigh on 2 decades since anyone's reported a sighting. I myself haven't laid eyes on a living dragon since before I lost Aurelia. If she were by my side now, I wonder what she'd say, to see a dragon alive and breathing after so long. But not for much longer. I wasn't simply hired to find a dragon, I was hired to slay it. One wrong move, and it is all it will take to shift the odds against me. Dragons do not hesitate to eliminate perceived threats. Bards and artists like to paint pretty pictures of knights in shining armor brandishing swords in the face of gnashing teeth and open flames, but true dragonslayers know better than to risk open combat if it can be avoided. A dragonslayer's most important virtue isn't courage, it's stealth. I creep closer to the sleeping dragon, stepping carefully to avoid snapping twigs and crunching leaves beneath my boots. It is unusual to see a dragon sleeping soundly out in the open in the middle of the day. Perhaps it has not seen my kind in as many years as I haven't not seen a dragon. Perhaps it has grown complacent. Drawing nearer, I discard the notion almost as quickly as it occurs to me. It is no youth prone to folly, a female of the species. The fading sheen on her feathers and scales and the battle scars her body bears tell me she is at least 200 years old. Like me, she has survived against long odds to see the twilight of her years. Yet here she is lying vulnerable outside her cave without so much as a flight to protect her. I stop suddenly. What if she's not alone? It's possible she's not vulnerable at all, but only wishes me to think her so. A trap. I'm about to walk into a trap. I crouch down deep in the foliage, eyes on the sky. I see nothing but a hawk passing by in lazy loops and a handful of fluttering dragonflies. I think back to the signs I followed, the tracks that led me here. A feather there, a scale there, a burnt patch of grass and a damaged tree. Nothing to suggest a full flight of dragons lives here, and yet something's not right. Are you going to make me wait all day, dragonslayer? A voice in my head startles me, low and gravelly and yet distinctly feminine. It winds its way across my mind like a fog, creeping in through the cracks between thoughts. The dragon. Though her vocal cords are not built for human speech, all dragons have the gift of mind speech. They can speak directly in one's thoughts, with or without permission. Dragon. Though their vocal cords... There, come out and finish what you started. Damn, so much for stealth. Awake. I've got a slim chance at best of catching her off guard. There's likely no hope of trapping her here either. She's too clever for that. I can either flight or flee, and no true dragon slayer abandons a quest before its completion. Readying my sword and shield, I brace myself for what could well be my final skirmish. My strategy is to... draw her towards the trees where I can shoot her with a poisoned arrow, or surprise her by a face her head on with my sword and shield, distract her with a talk while I sneak around behind her. I think I'm going to try and draw her towards the trees. I raise my shield to catch the mottling sunlight filtering in between the tree branches above me, shining it in the dragon's direction. She blinks and raises her head, shaking it a little from side to side in apparent irritation. Again, that voice of hers speaks to me in my mind. Yes, very shiny, but can you wield it? Are you strong enough, dragonslayer? She's trying to draw me out in the open. It won't work. I tilt my shield again, catching the lay and shining it directly in her open eyes. She stands up with a snarl. I don't need my eyes to find you, mortal. Her head sticks in my direction, dirt and wood and rock crunching underfoot as she advances towards me, eyes closed. I shrink back deeper into the forest. The dragon hesitates at the forest edge. While I'm beginning to wonder if I'll need a new strategy, she takes a step forward, then another, and another. She's an impatient one, it seems. Either she's forgotten or simply doesn't care that she's lost one of her prime advantages. Dragonfire burns dragons as well as humans. If she breathes it now and sets the forest ablaze, we'll both go up in smoke. What are you waiting for? Permission? Strike, assassin, and be done with it. She opens her eyes again. Luckily, I'm already concealed behind some sick shrubs. Then she looks my way. For a split second, she pauses as if she suspects she's found me. Then a small noise from the underbrush on either side distracts her, drawing her gaze away again. Silently, I lay my sword and shield on the ground, taking up my bow and arrow instead. Dragons are near perfect predators. They have very few weaknesses at the joining place between their wings and torsos, inside their mouths and their eyes. A lucky hunter might also go for soft spots where scales have rotted away due to age or illness, but I've not been so fortunate as of yet. As it is, I've only got one shot. My arrows are laced with a poison particularly fatal to dragons. If I make my mark, she'll be dead within minutes. If I miss, I'll be dead within seconds. I wait until she's so near I can hear her breathing, until I'm sure she's about to sniff me out. I take aim and step out of my cover. We lock gazes, and in that instant, several things happen at once. Her eyes widen, she knows what's about to happen. She lunges forward anyway, intent upon her kill, and I hesitate. Those eyes of hers, that brilliant shade of gold, have stolen from the heart of the sun. So familiar, I've seen that color before, I'm sure of it. It's a passing thought, slowing my hand only for only a second, but long enough that when I loose my arrow, it misses its mark, bouncing harmlessly off the scales on the dragon's temple. I dodge to the left towards the nearest tree, knowing that even as I do that, I do so in vain. The jaws of death will clamp down on me long before I reach my cover. I'm sorry, daughter. I've made a promise it seems I won't be able to keep. Hot breath scalds my skin, dagger-sharp knives of bone rush at me as the dragon's mouth pry open. Her jaws snap shut, just shy of my back. I stumble into the shadow of the tree, breathless, shocked. I shouldn't be alive. I shout at her. What are you playing at, dragon? Playing? What makes you think this is a game? Stop toying with me. Why am I still alive? Call it fate. Call it fortune. Call it whatever you like. It matters not. But it does. I'm missing something. Something vital. She knows I've come to kill her. She's fighting back, but not fighting for her life. Is it a trap, or is she merely playing with her food before she eats it? Most elder dragons know better, but perhaps after so many years alone, she's grown bored, or else she wants to keep me alive for some other purpose. What's wrong, assassin? Dragon got your tongue? She's baiting me. She's been baiting me all along. She wants to fight, but she wants me alive. This makes no sense. What if I don't? What? What do you mean? I'm old. I'm tired. What if I walk away from this fight? What if I retreat? I, Marius, am saying. She snarls, her tail lashing back and forth like a whip. I can hear it whistling through the air as it sails from one side to the other. You wouldn't dare. It would tarnish your good name and the honor of your guild brothers and sisters. In truth, the honor of my once noble guild was tarnished long ago. Those of us who didn't retire when the dragons disappeared kept our blades sharp and our pockets full as cell swords. These days were little better than common mercenaries. Hardly, I would have thought you'd be asleep in peace once more. Until you kill me in my sleep or return with reinforcements, do you take me for a fool? I don't, of course. No dragonslayer who underestimates his opponent lives to tell the tale. Which is why I need answers, but what is the right question? Do I question her motives or question the quest? Ask her why she's trying not to kill me, or question the quest, ask her what connection it is to the old woman who wants her dead. I'm gonna ask this one. Just because I think going down that path of like why she might know who hired me to kill her, the dragon, and which woman hired me to kill her. Who is the woman who wants you dead? What? That seems to have stopped the dragon in her tracks. Ho ho ho. What are you talking about? The woman who told me where to find you. A lady of advanced age, perhaps a little older than myself. She knew exactly where you slept. She wore a hood, but I glimpsed her face. She bore a dragon's kiss on the right side of her face. A kiss. A scar. I know the mark of dragon fire when I see it. What is her connection to you? The dragon laughs, a hollow, empty sound. I have a habit of overthinking things, Dragonslayer. I know her not. Yes, you mentioned you haven't seen a human in years, and yet this woman was able to tell me exactly how to get to you. When I asked her if others knew of your presence, she said no, which means she must have been the one to find you here, most likely, recently, since no other Dragonslayers have sent your way a link, so you claim. Yet there are no roads here. This is on the way to nothing. So what was that woman doing here out on her own? And how did a vigilant dragon such as yourself not notice her coming and going? What are you suggesting, Dragon Slayer? To be honest, I'm not sure. But there is no doubt in my mind that there is more to this story than a dragon and an old wound open. I assumed at first she wanted dead for the obvious reasons, but now question her motives. I question my reason for being. She laughs again, but there's something gentler this time. Pity or sympathy? A large question, to be sure. One few find the answers to. I sigh. You know what I mean. Why did she send me here? I'm afraid I haven't the faintest idea. But what does it matter? You, a dragon slayer, have found your quarry, and I, a dragon, am about to rain fiery death upon you. What are you going to do about it? I shake my head, for I know this is a trap. Whether laid by the dragon or the woman who sent me here, or perhaps a little both, I cannot say. Nor do I have time to think it over. I can hear the dragon drawing closer, step by step. I need time. Time to think. Time to decide what my next move is. Dragon slayers are meant to put their ultimate purpose, the slaying of dragons, above all other causes. But if I walk right into this web of lies blindly, I may well fail to fulfill that purpose and throw my wife away in the process. I cannot do that for the sake of my daughter, my family. It's my duty to stay alive. I need to get out of here. Fast. Turning tail and running goes against everything I've ever been taught. It grates just to consider it. And if I'm wrong, she is trying to kill me, I'd be dead in a heartbeat. But if I don't have much choice, if I can get deep enough in these woods quickly enough, she'll be slowed down by the trees and lose track of me. I say a silent prayer asking the gods to watch over my journey until I can return home to my family. Then I sprint for the nearest cover, a large old tree nearly the width of 3 men standing shoulder to shoulder. Her hot breath scalds the back of my neck as jaws come crashing shut behind me. Another lucky miss. I don't wait for a third. I race to the next tree, then the next. The dragon unleashes a furious roar, stomping craters into the earth as she follows in hot pursuit. I didn't look back. I don't stop. I break into a run, and I keep running until her footsteps and the crashing of trees around her fade into a whisper, until her cries are no more than echoes haunting my retreat. Even then, I do not stop. I slow to a walk, and I do not allow myself to rest until the sun has reached the far horizon. Only then do I allow myself to rest. I set up camp and fill my stomach with a simple meal of bread, wine, and cheese. I light a tiny fire, barely enough to keep my hands warm. I do not dare start a proper fire. Even a smokeless flame could draw a dragon by scent alone, and there's no telling how tenacious she might be. For all I know, she searches for me still. Dragons and humans have been enemies since time immemorial. No one now remembers who started it. Dragons, of course, blameless mortals. Well, human history records this incidence of dragons preying on humans long before we struck our first blow. But I've long suspected the truth lay somewhere between the two extremes. But it matters not. All that matters now is who strikes the final blow. This dragon I found may well be among the last of her kind. It's likely she's only survived as long as she has due to her seclusion in the mountains, yet she let me live. Then killing me was the only sure way to guarantee I would keep her presence a secret. And there's one other thing to consider: the woman who told me where to find the dragon. She approached me a couple weeks ago at the local tavern. She said she knew me for a dragon slayer by my eyes. Said you could tell a dragon killer from the fire in his gaze. I suppose it was more likely she'd recognize the guild crest on my shield, but I didn't argue the point. What she told me, what seemed to be a tall tale of a lone dragon concealed in the shadow of the mountains, said she's seen it with her own eyes. I didn't laugh in her face, though a lesser man might have. It seemed so unlikely at the time. Even elusive unicorns are a more likely sight these days than a dragon. I asked if there was anyone who could corroborate her story. She said no, but she begged me to her. She gave me a feather as proof. It was a dragon feather. There was no mistaking the texture or the markings. The most probable explanation was that she'd purchased it from a collector's shop. The scars on her face and the hint of desperation in her pleas kept me from questioning her further. I swear it on my life, she said. There is one last dragon left in this world, and the world will be better for it once she's gone. Please, will you help me? I decided if the dragon was real, it was my duty to slay it, and if not, well, there were worse things than spending a few quiet days alone in the woods. I agreed, however, and she said she could tell me exactly where to find the dragon. However, in exchange for this information, she extended yet one more vow from me. I had to wait a week before I began my hunt. She said it was because she had family traveling through the mountains. She worried if I disturbed the dragon before they were clear of its territory, her kin would be caught in the crossfire. When I asked where her family was headed, she would not say, but she insisted I must wait. In the end, I consented, though against my better judgment. She told me what I needed to know. She told me exactly where I would find her dragon. She offered to pay me up front, and I accepted, planning to give the majority of my earnings to my family and my daughter. On our strange meeting to a close, she did the oddest thing of all, smiled at me. She thanked me, looked up at me with those eyes of hers, golden eyes gleaming in the candlelight like two miniature suns. I stare into the flickering flame of my meager fire, remembering and wondering. People tell all sorts of tales about dragons. Despite our long history with them, the only thing we know for certain is how to kill them. My wife, Aurelia, used to find the old stories fascinating, that every legend contained within it at least a single grain of truth, and was determined to discover those truths by investigating one myth at a time. One legend she was never able to prove or disapprove to her satisfaction involved transmogrification. It is believed that many dragons can shapeshift. Some believe they can take any form they choose. Others say dragons specifically develop the ability to disguise themselves as humans as a form of supernatural camouflage. I've heard tell of tales of villages discovering dragons in their midst and executing them before they could transform back into their bestial selves. I never believed the stories myself. It sometimes grieved me to think of how many innocent men and women may have been burned at the stake by malicious, superstitious neighbors. And yet, their eyes are the same in color, if not in shape. I've never seen a human with eyes that shade of gold, and their scars are the same too. Could it be that the woman I spoke with and the dragon she sent me to seek are one and the same? And if she is, what is the right thing to do? As a dragon slayer, I am bound by my creed to protect humans from dragons at all costs. Yet, we were also once bound to ideals like honor, integrity, and generousness of spirit. If dragons can take human form, are they really so different from us after all? A question my wife spent her life investigating, a question which I, for the sake of my livelihood, could not allow myself to ask till now. I spend the majority of the night lost in my thoughts. The campfire burns out long before I finally lay down for stolen hours of sleep before dawn. With dawn comes some measure of clarity, I hope. I don't have all the answers to my questions, but I'm willing to take the time to discover them. I'm not going to kill this dragon, not yet. My plan is to see how much information I can get from her about her kind, is to find out more about why I am here, why I was chosen, is to understand why a dragon would hire someone to kill her. I would say it'd be more of this question, because I'm chosen because I was probably the first thing that came to her mind, and I could get more information about her kind, but it might be hurtful in some senses to ask about, why she's the only one left. I'm gonna ask why I was chosen to kill her. Dragons are known for many things, but I never have I seen one surrender. Dragons are proud, fierce creatures, ready to fight tooth and claw for what they perceive to be their territory, their spoils of war. What could possibly move a dragon to such desperation as to hire a dragon slayer to end her life? Since when are dragons suicidal? And if she truly does wish to die, why hire me? Why go to the trouble of taking on human guise to find me, and then retreat back to her mountainside and return to her natural form? It confounds me, and if I kill her now, I know the lingering questions will haunt me for as many a restless night to come. I need to know why she brought me here, even knowing I've slain so many of her kin. But first I'll have to convince the dragon not to kill me for yesterday's retreat. Sound of beating wings above the forest canopy tells me I won't have to travel far to find her. I smell you, dragonslayer. Your camp reeks of smoke and man sweat. What kind of coward runs from a fight before first blood is drawn? She's circling lower. She spotted me. Dragons have sharper vision than even the great eagles. I stand up. There's no point in hiding. The dragon's mouth opens, ready to render me to ashes. It's now or never. I say the first thing that comes to my mind. What is your name? She makes an inelegant sort of hacking sound as if choking on something. She lands less than gracefully in the largest space between the trees she can find. Several branches crash to the ground around her as she stares at me. What did you say? I asked your name. I am known as Marius, but you already knew that. It only seems fair I know yours. So you figured it out after all. She folds her wings and lowers her head, her gaze more level with mine. So you figured it out after all. She folds her wings and lowers her head, bringing her gaze more level with mine. Not bad for a human. I wasn't sure, until now. I didn't think the stories were true. Some are gross exaggerations, and many pure fabrication, but there are gems of truth hidden here and there among the fairy gold. Does it matter? Your quest remains unchanged. You were sent to kill a dragon, and you have found her. Or rather, she found me. She inclines her head, almost to smile now. Eat well, dragonslayer. Shall we continue our dance? Actually, I was wondering if we might postpone it till a later date. Her smile vanishes in the blink of an eye. Her eyes flash dangerously, glinting sharp and metallic as she levels her gaze at me. Why would I consent to that? You've lived at least a century or two. What harm could it do to wait a few more days? She's seething now. It may just be my imagination, but I can almost feel the heat of her anger radiating off of her. I only wish to understand the situation fully before I act. You've never been hired by a dragon before. It's unprecedented, to say the least. What is there to understand? I am a dragon, and you are a killer. My life is yours to take. It's that simple. It's not. I've lived long enough to know better. Nothing is ever that simple. I'm sure you know that as well as I do. Perhaps you're right, but tell me, Dragonslayer Marius, why shouldn't I kill you now and find a more willing slayer to take your place? Well, it's a good question, but I think it's going to have to wait for the next episode because this episode has gone on, I think, long enough, and we'll have to get another part 2 maybe in after this one. So for now, thank you so much for watching this episode. There is a link to the game down in the description below if you want to go play for yourself, maybe make some other choices, see if you can do better or worse than me. For now, though, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time. I'm very eager to see kind of where this story goes. I enjoy stories and I enjoy storytelling, so it's very fun to get this opportunity to kind of play one and talk it out loud and do a little bit of voice acting. I'm very bad at it. But if you are liking it, let me know. Let me know in the comments too what you think of the game, and if you want to see more games like this or other ones, or if you're just excited for part 2. That's enough talking from me. So thank you so much for watching this episode, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.